I never lose, either I win or I learn. Those are my only options, to whomever it may concern. About to be a hot topic, play with fire, you get burned. Ain't nobody give me nothing, whatever I got, better I earn. I never lose, but I learn. I either win or I learn. Those are my only options, to whomever.
We learned the hard way. We fucked up. We're not perfect, but the lessons we learn in life, they make us who we are, and here we are, starting fresh.
And we're really excited to share our journey going forward with all of you so that we can hold each other accountable through the weight loss journey. Our journey started back in March of 2020. Actually, if you've listened to our podcast, it actually started well before then. We've been, on this weight loss journey pretty much our entire life. But this particular journey, or part of our journey, started in March of 2020, where together we lost over 150 pounds. But then life hit big time in 2021.
Injuries, depression, deciding to sell our home because we needed new space, downsizing with 5 people and 2 dogs and a 2-bedroom house, and all this stuff started to add up where our whole regimen and routine got out of whack, where we were eating trash.
Yeah. And so it really affected our mental state, our physical state. Those of you who have been following along on this journey, I know you can see a difference when you look at us, when you see this on YouTube. And that's why we've started this, our journey. That's what we're calling this, our journey, because it's not just us, it's all of us together. And so we have a whole new page on veganstrongandfit.com called Our Journey, where we're going to be talking about every week something that has led us to success, or maybe failure that we've learned from within the week to overcome and help us to continue on this. How we're going to do this the right way this time to make sure that we're able to support you, you're able to support us. And be sure to go on and follow us every week at veganstrongandfit.com/journey.
We're in this together.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Strong AF podcast. I'm Ashley.
And I'm Yuri.
And today we have on Julia Simon, who is the owner and executive chef at Plant Joy and Nourish Charlotte. So it is a wonderful place that makes good food, that comes from good sources, that tastes good, looks good, and also makes you feel really good. So welcome, Julia. Thank you for coming on with us.
Thanks for having me.
Tell us more about your story and what led you to become vegan.
I love telling this story. So I'm a lifelong vegetarian. I went vegetarian at a young age, 13, when I first saw my first, I didn't see factory farm footage, but I had a zine. So there's a big connection between veganism and punk rock culture. And so in the punk scene, a lot of times people pass around, this is back in the 90s, right? So pass around shared mixtapes and stuff. And people would also pass around zines, right? Which are these Xeroxed copies, undercover books kind of thing. And so actually, there was definitely a number of ethical vegans in the punk scene that I grew up in. And so I just got my hands on a zine that had a lot of data about what happens in factory farms. And as soon as I knew how meat was produced and where meat came from, I was done. I couldn't handle it. It didn't make sense to me. It was this moment of I was that is hypocrisy and I can't do it. I love animals. I love the earth. I just can't do that. And I think, I'd always been a little squeamish as a kid. My dad was an avid fisherman. We grew up in South Florida, and you would go fishing and it was just brutal to me. We would just pull animals out of the water and just sort of casually let them die on the dock. And I'm this is really messed up.
Yeah.
I don't understand this, we don't have to eat that. I don't understand this, the casual brutality of murdering an animal just off the cuff on a Saturday night, you know what I mean? With the fam, right? It just seemed really strange to me. So I don't really know. I can't really explain, 13 is when I really remember thinking about this stuff, but obviously as a younger person, I'd fallen in love with animals, and animals had become something that weren't something, they'd become beings, you know what I mean? They weren't just objects, they were beings, and my whole family was pretty bummed and not all that great about it. I know my dad thought I was just trying to be picky and annoying. but yeah, I mean, that's the last time I ate meat. And I always, I joke around about this, like, I've never cooked meat. I would not know. I kind of had to start my own business, because when I moved here 10 years ago, when I'm from Charlotte, actually I moved to Charlotte 11 years ago. When I moved here, there really wasn't anywhere to work if you wanted to cook and not cook meat, So I always joke I had to kind of start my own kitchen in order to get work, because nobody's going to hire me and I wasn't going to cook meat for anybody, But yeah, I stayed vegetarian for a very long time, lived in New York City as a vegetarian, sort of questioning vegan. And I really think my big problem was cheese. Like I really liked cheese, and it took me a long time. And it took me learning how to make great vegan cheese, I feel like, for me to finally take the plunge. And so I did. The year before Nourish started, I went fully vegan, and no regrets, not a one.
That's so awesome. I can really relate to a couple points there in your story.
The cheese.
Well, the cheese one, but also I grew up in the country, so like the fishing thing was a big deal for me. And even the whole catch a fish and throw it back, I'm like, okay, so like we're harming the fish.
Yeah.
And then we're just putting it back in the water for no
like,
reason other than you're just having fun. Yeah.
Like yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it felt like cognitive dissonance. I was just like, I don't understand. This does not compute,
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. And so I always had this hatred of fishing, even at a young age. But the cheese, like Yuri said, is a big thing for me. And also noting that I'm allergic to cheese, but I still really love cheese.
No kidding. You're like, I'll take the pain for this delicious pizza. Yeah.
Exactly. I would go like 6 months without eating cheese just so I could like binge on it for a week and then go back. So I feel you.
We didn't binge on it for a week. It was a lot more than that. Because I can remember when we first started dating, it was maybe, I can't remember if it was a holiday or just.
It was my birthday.
So it was the 4th of July. Oh, that's what it was. I remember being at my aunt's house, and I can't remember if it was like a potato salad or whatever it was. And then she was like, we gotta go. I'm like, why we gotta go? We're just now eating. Why are we leaving? She's like, I think I just had cheese. I need Benadryl.
Oh no. That's commitment, Yeah.
So really, like, this has been really good for my health to not eat cheese. But it was really difficult because to me, it was almost like cheese was that forbidden pleasure because I wasn't allowed to have it.
Yeah.
And so it was getting over that mindset of wanting something I couldn't have, and then shifting over to, hey, look, now I can have all these vegan cheeses and I don't have that same reaction.
Yeah. I think it's a really cool time. I mean, we don't even know the depth of it. We haven't even seen vegan cheese really come into its own yet. I feel like there's just so much yet to be done. There's so much yet to be figured out. I love every time I see a new company come to market, I'm like, yeah, like I want to try it. I want to eat it. It's funny though. I don't feel the same way about meat substitutes. I'm not as excited about them. And I still don't know exactly like how to talk about that without sounding like elitist or weird, like whenever we have that conversation around why Plant Joy doesn't do Beyond Meat or Impossible Meat or anything like that, I feel like we come across like kind of picky and whiny, and that's not what I mean. You know what I mean? I just feel like I think it honestly comes down to how I feel when I eat meat substitutes. I don't feel well. I feel like I eat, and you guys know I've been lucky enough to eat extremely whole foods, plant-based, nutrient dense, right? Nourish, like there's so much food here. Like if you work for Nourish, you eat extremely well. Everybody that works for this company has always eaten extremely well. And so I eat this really like high quality level of cuisine that's really nutrient dense and organic and sustainably sourced, all this stuff. So when I eat an Impossible Burger, it takes me out. Like I'm like gone. Yeah. I'm like drunk and high. Like it's like my whole, like I'm like sleepy. Like I want to take a nap. It reminds me honestly of one of the reasons why I stopped eating cheese. Because I remember I was really starting to pay attention to my body after I ate. I was like, all right, what happens after I eat? What happens 2 hours after I eat? What happens 4 hours after I eat? What happens? And I was like getting super tired and kind of depressed, and I wasn't feeling well every time I ate dairy. And so it kind of reminds me of that. So I really honestly think a lot of our push, I mean, I believe in meat substitutes as a way forward in the movement. Transition. Really what I feel like my job is to make sure people are eating vegetables and making really great vegetables that people feel like fulfilled by eating, rather than having to resort to these big corporate, protein substitutes, right?
Right.
So I don't know. But cheeses, I feel like there is an authenticity. There is like a realness to vegan cheeses that's really starting to come into its own. Like people are using these like millennia old techniques to turn, nut fats and seed fats, right? Instead of dairy milk into these like gorgeous rounds of cheeses and like aging them, and they're artisanal. And I feel like we're getting somewhere finally. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Cheese addict in me is like, finally we've crossed the bridge, no more this like garbage diet.
Right.
I'm sorry if you're sponsored by Diet. Diet's great. It's great. Like I'm so proud of us getting further than that, because it's just not a great product, So
yeah, the first time I tried an artisan vegan cheese, I was like, oh my God, this is heaven.
Yeah,
this is absolutely incredible. And like you said, with the vegan meats, like I do believe they have their place, because I don't think that we could have as easily transitioned into vegan to begin with. But in that junk food vegan, it definitely has its place, right? It's great.
Totally.
The cheat
I'm here for all the vegan pizza rolls.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? As somebody who like ate soy dogs, like that's pretty much all you get your hands on in like 1994. And they were like, you could leave them in your backpack for a week and they would still be okay. You know what I mean? Like as a person that like raised myself as a teenager vegetarian on soy dogs, Annie's vegan pizza rolls, that is a whole revolution. That's a whole revolution. But yeah, I mean, like, that's all we're eating. What are we doing?
Exactly. And one of the biggest things is like, I noticed, because I had chronic constipation issues from the time that I was a child all the way up until adulthood when I went vegan. And when we started, we went alkaline. Like that was the first thing, we cut everything out, and then we transitioned things back in, but we went completely alkaline, and my digestive issues cleared up immediately.
Right.
And then I noticed that as I started eating more of the junk food processed vegan items, that came back a little bit. Nowhere near as bad as it was, but it definitely came back. I could feel immediately after I ate something that things were off. Totally. And so, it's a huge difference between eating that and then eating much cleaner. And even with the kids, when they start to say, oh, I'm not feeling good, I'm like, well, that means you got to stop eating those chicken nuggets, those Beyond Nuggets over there.
Yeah.
We got to,
carrots.
Get some, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you have to balance it. I think we actually have to be more deliberate now as vegans, as the market grows and people make more things that are super, super produced. I feel like we have to decide how much of that we want in our diets, because the easy thing to do is just eat all of that stuff. You know what I mean? It's like every time you get on DoorDash or you feel like you're treating yourself, it's like if every time you're doing that, you're eating a processed protein, you're definitely not doing the best for your body that you could be.
Yeah.
When you say that about digestive stuff, I mean, I can't tell you how many weird phone calls I've had. So we get a lot of different customers at Nourish. So many different people have like ordered over the years. It's been a decade of doing business with all these different humans, we have the best customer base. Like people that buy from us are the sweetest humans. And every once in a while I get on the phone with a new vegan, and there's a kind of a stereotype, right? He's definitely a dude. He might be like a football guy, or like maybe he's a golfer, all right? And he's got like a nice deep Southern twang, all right? And basically the only reason he is talking to me is because his cardiologist was like, yo, George, if you keep eating bacon, you're gonna die. Straight up, buddy, you're gonna go. And like, who wants that, right? Like you have a family, people love you, please try something new before you croak, man, And so I get on the phone with these guys, right? Bankers, real estate guy, regular guys. And they, we get them on first, bring them some meals. We do a couple of weeks. And then inevitably I get a text or an email being like, am I supposed to be farting this much? Or like, am I supposed to be pooping 2 times a day? Like, that's a lot, and like we get into this like hilarious conversation where people have to be very frank because they're asking me about their beans. But I'm just like, yeah, man, if it's been a minute since you've really had a high fiber diet, or if you've never had one, if what you're used to, if like high fiber for you is like a pizza and like a little iceberg salad, you feel me? Like this transition is your guts are going to feel it. And like, and there will be a period of time. And like, you should be thinking about probiotics and things that help to move things along in your lower digestive tract a little more easily. Like there are tools for this, but yeah, man, you're going to fart.
I remember for us, you remember, like, because when I started, I quit out no sodas. What else was it? It was no sodas, no meat,
No sugar, no
no
caffeine,
sugar, no caffeine.
like everything.
Like
Yeah.
the first maybe 5 days or something, I just thought I was dying. I was like, oh my
Yeah.
goodness, I feel like I have the flu, and I'm over here telling my supervisor, I'm like, man, I'm dying over here. And he's like, man, just go eat you a burger or something. Just go do it. I'm like, man, I'm not eating that shit. He's like, man, come on, just deal with it. I'm like, man, I'm fucking dying. You over here telling me to eat a burger. I'm like, but after maybe about 2 days or so, that's when I just remember waking up that morning. I'm like, it's like, oh my goodness, I feel good. I feel rested. It's just, your body just feels amazing. And
Yep.
like you said, with the shitting, we shit up a storm.
Yeah, man.
You go 4 or 5 times a day and everything. It's like, damn, as soon as I eat something, this shit just goes through me, literally. It's like, I've got to go.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you guys know, I definitely have friends that do not poop every day. And I'm like, that is not what your body
normal.
is. Like, I know maybe that's more convenient, but you got to feel weird, man. Like, eat a salad, shit,
Right.
you know? Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's a funny thing. It's definitely, there's a barrier to entry for a couple different reasons. And I think it really, the piece that I always am trying to remind everybody is like, don't dabble, really go for it. And I mean, I get it. Caffeine maybe is still on the table and maybe refined sugar is still on the table, but like go vegan and stick with it for 3 weeks. And it's unlikely, you know, you'll feel really good. You'll probably stick with it. But I do think this, I don't think the vegan movement is thriving on health choices alone. I really think if we don't catch new vegans, they feel really good, right? But 3 or 4 weeks in, you kind of forget what you used to feel like, right? You kind of fool yourself into thinking that you've healed yourself and maybe you can kind of go back. If we don't catch people at that inflection point and get them interested in another facet of the movement, right? The environmental piece or the animal rights piece, right? If we don't get them and capture their imaginations and kind of bring them in and like show them the work that the movement's doing, they bounce off.
Yes.
You know? So I think
1,000% agree, because like I've said a million times, we went vegan for health reasons. That was our personal reason to start the transition. But then we started watching documentaries and learning more about animals and the environment and how this really is just full circle in how we're helping. And that's what kept us, because we've tried diet after diet and, you know, it's never stuck because it's more just a selfish reason. But this is more than just us, you know. If I don't, then I'm not just affecting myself, I'm affecting everything else.
Right. Totally.
Asking, like when we first started transitioning, people always, are you still on that diet? You still on that plant-based diet? I'm like, man, this isn't a diet. This is a lifestyle. I'm like, I'm not going back. And they're like, you don't miss a steak? I said, no, I don't miss a steak. I know what that shit's gonna do to me.
Yeah. I feel like it's funny too. You know, I was at Camp North End the other day and like a new store opened and it's like E-Wheels or something like that. And so there were all these, and I want to do it so bad. It looks so cool. It's like a hoverboard. Like there's this whole, it's like one wheel in the middle and it's like a skateboard.
Oh, I've seen those.
They look so cool, man. Wheel. Yeah, the big wheel. Yeah, I feel like I'm totally gonna break my arm doing this, but I'm gonna try one. But I was like checking them out the other day and there was like 100 people out in front of the store. And I was just like amazed, you know, because I'm just like, I like all my organizing. I spend so much of my free time like organizing for the movement. I do all this, like, you know what I mean? I mean, in business around veganism for over 10 years. And I always kind of forget that we're weirdos, you know? And I'm looking over at like the one wheel community. And like, I'm just like, man, yeah, you know, like here we are. Everybody finds a niche that speaks to them. You know what I mean? And that's part of having a meaningful life is like serving that niche, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, one of the ways that I have a pleasure of serving the vegan niche specifically in Charlotte, North Carolina is our big festival that's coming up, right? So I've been the president of Vegfest for 4 years. 2 of those active, 2 of those COVID, sadly. This will be my 5th year. And so Charlotte Vegfest is a way that has always tried to gather everybody in all the different weird niches of veganism or vegan adjacent culture in Charlotte and in the Southeast and put everybody in a room together, inspire them with speakers, put all the talented food we can possibly get in one spot so we can try everything they want and just sort of reinforce everybody's reasoning around veganism and also answer any questions that anybody's curious about as well, right? And this is one of the reasons why I've fought to keep it free. We've over the years talked about ticketing it or making it like $2 entry or something like that. But I really feel that, if you have a family of 8 and you really want to know about veganism, that $16 could really be a deterrent, right? So free, open to the public, full of talent, full of food, that this big party that we throw to kind of like revel in whatever veganism looks like this year in Charlotte, North Carolina. Because I feel like some of this, some of us forget how many of us there are too. And it's really cool to see the vast diversity of the scene, to see the myriad different ways people cook in and around veganism, all the different books and writing and art that are made about this movement. It's always a joy to kind of get it all in one room and give it a peek,
No, I completely agree. I think the fact that you're bringing everyone together and, like you said, showing everybody that it's not just you, right? There's a whole group of us here, especially with our kids. Like, that's really huge for them when we go to these festivals, because, like, especially in our area, unless we travel to Charlotte, there's no like vegan restaurants here in the suburbs of Charlotte. So it's, there's options, right? But whenever we go to these festivals or to actual restaurants that are completely vegan, our kids are like, oh, I can have anything I want on the menu, and then everybody here is here for the same reason, and it's exciting for them. And it's great to see, because especially kids, they want to fit in, and this gives them a place to fit in and still be themselves.
Yeah, and be in community and like maybe look at people and be like, oh, that's me. Like, I'm not a weirdo, Yeah, 100%. Exactly. And then I just wanted to shout out the date on that. That's September 17th at Camp North End. It's the first time we'll be having the big party there. Really excited about it. The team at Camp North End's amazing. It's super, super supportive. We're gonna have all kinds of stuff happening all over campus. It'll be gorgeous, and it's free. It's free. We don't even have to charge for parking this year. Like, you can literally come to VegFest and not even spend $1 and like get a bunch of samples and meet a bunch of people, have some really low key, like low budget fun, super chill,
That's so exciting. I can't wait. I think this is going to be great. And for all of our listeners that are in the Charlotte area or willing to travel to the Charlotte area, this is going to be an incredible event. So be sure to be there.
For sure. 100%.
And if I'm correct, I believe I've seen y'all are looking for volunteers right now, aren't you?
That is true. Yeah. We have good signups, but we can always use a few more people. My favorite thing to do when we have excess volunteers is to have people watch to see vendors arrive and then help people carry stuff to their booths, because it's a schlup. Like, if you're vending food, anything that you're vending at a festival, you guys probably know, it's a ton of work. You know what I mean? Yes. And who knows about the money, right? Like, the money could be good, the money could be but no matter what, that your back's going to hurt at the end of the day. So it's nice. I feel like it's really fun. Talk about that community oriented spirit. My favorite years that we've done are when we've had a lot of volunteers and people that were willing to kind of help people carry bags and just sort of like feel held by their community, Yeah. Thank you for reminding me of that.
Yeah, I stalk pages.
We appreciate your stalking. Yeah. But yeah, so you guys know, I do Nourish. I've done that for over 10 years. It's crazy to me. I'm so old. And Plant Joy and Vegfest for about 5 years. And then, during our COVID year, so weirdly, so Nourish is a meal delivery service and a caterer, right? We don't really, it's, I could turn this computer around and show you guys our relatively dingy commercial space. Like, it's not a customer space, facing area. Facing kitchen at all. Like, we have people pick up occasionally, but really it's a commercial kitchen, it's production. So, we had a really great year. So COVID, since there aren't really any humans involved in getting the food to people, we have delivery drivers, right? But we don't like sit plates in front of people. We had one of our better years to date because of our model and because we seemed so COVID safe, right? So we got busy, made good money. And then we got to kind of open this tiny little restaurant called Plant Joy that's at Camp North End, which is it's the same place we're hosting VegFest, right? But it's like an urban renewal project just north of Uptown. It's a really cool campus, super great vibes, very cool. It's all this like, urban revitalization stuff. There's lots of spray paint. There's lots of good paintings with good art everywhere. There's an art collective there we love called Goodyear Arts. So we got to open this little tiny restaurant, and Plant Joy is almost 2. We've made it almost past the 2-year mark, right? They say about restaurants, if you can get past those first 2 years, you can kick it for a while.
Right.
Just making gorgeous plant-centered food, right? No meat substitutes. We don't talk about that stuff. We just make really, really delicious plant-centered food. We try to be healthy, which is weird, restaurant isn't. We don't have a deep fryer. We never will. I believe that if you put a deep fryer on your line, everything ends up going into it at some point, and like, there's just plenty of that stuff in the world. And that's kind of the way we think about meat substitutes too. There's plenty of great faux bacon, fake beef. It's so easily accessed. We're trying to do something else at Plant Joy. Yeah.
I love it. That's beautiful. And the dishes are gorgeous, and have to make our way over there. I keep seeing everything, and I'm like, okay, we've got to get over there. We got to get over there.
Yeah,
Our schedules are crazy. We got to get over there though.
Yeah. You should come to one of our drag brunches. I mean, I won't say it's the kid friendliest. Anya definitely curses. And it's definitely
sexy. So it's okay.
Yeah. But oh my God. I mean, I love seeing the BBs at the drag brunch. It's so fun. But yeah, we do a great brunch spread. It's super loud and partyish. The atmosphere is lovely. Our next one is going to be the first Sunday in September. It'll be super fun. It'll be super great. But yeah, I mean, I believe that people eat with their eyes first. I think that if you can make food beautiful, you can capture somebody's imagination.
Yes.
I don't really have a culinary degree. I took some classes at a now defunct culinary school called the Natural Gourmet Institute. It used to be, back in the day, it was the only place you could get a vegan culinary degree. Like, you could go and actually get a degree in cooking without having to butcher things or cook meat, right? It was like the OG spot for that. But I don't have a degree from there. I just took some night classes and weekend classes, right? I have a painting degree from a school called Cooper Union. So like, I don't, cooking was something I picked up after college, right? So it makes sense. I think when I was designing the menu for Plant Joy, and a bunch of people have had creative hands on that menu, like all good menus, but I definitely was thinking a lot about obviously flavor, but aesthetic. I feel like it's really nice. Colors really bring people in, and eating the rainbow feels like the right thing to do for your body. Yeah.
Yeah, that's incredible. I love it. I love everything that you do for the community, and just, you're an amazing person in general, not just from, talking to you, but from other people in the community that I've also heard incredible things about you. Even before I knew what your restaurant was, I had heard incredible things about you. So
you're super sweet to me. Thank you.
So yes, you were just an incredible person. And for all of our listeners, they have definitely got to get out there and see you.
Please visit. Yes.
Yeah, because we have, well, I don't know if you have, I do. I have like a hit list, I'll call it, of places that I've definitely got to try. Yours is on there, and some other people we've interviewed on the podcast, but our schedule and time hasn't really been on our side to be able to come out. So you're definitely on that list. Yeah. Especially since I can't remember if it was some kind of tomato sandwich.
Oh yeah, the grilled greens, man. That'll
that's the one.
You eat it, it'll live in your head rent free. You got to be careful with that sandwich. Yeah. I love that sandwich. But my favorite version of that sandwich, we make I think we were the first restaurant in Charlotte to put a succa on the menu, which is a gluten-free crispy chickpea crepe. My favorite way to eat that sandwich is our gluten-free version of it, where we basically serve it omelet style, and all the feta and the tomato jam and the sauteed greens are like in that crispy crepe with a little bit of kimchi ranch over the top. It is so delicious.
That sounds amazing.
My favorite thing on the menu. So good. And I think, I really appreciate your kind words. I feel like I've been organizing here a long time, but I feel like one of the things that I've always tried to stay super aware of, and I continue to try to stay super aware of, and it's not easy, I think, is ego and community, and how the ego really negates community, right? I also think that if you're doing your best at community organizing, you are not a gatekeeper. You're not requiring that people come through your door to have access to the resources.
Right.
You just, you know what I mean? I remember, I definitely know a number of other Vegfest organizers that kind of have a feeling of like ownership over the vegan scene that I just don't think is right. I think that if anything, we're a conduit for helping it grow. We add our energy to it. And if your energy is like gatekeepy and like hold to you, that just restricts the growth of your scene. If you're like just generous and give when you can, I feel like that's kind of the energy that your scene can receive. And I feel like it's better for the scene. I'm a kind of a known anti-capitalist, right? I'm a weirdo, right? I know I own businesses, right? Which are capitalist enterprises, and they're profitable because they have to be, but they're not super profitable because everybody gets paid well, you know what I mean? And everybody gets fed extremely importantly. And that's a big piece. Anybody that's hungry at any point, at any shift in either of the restaurants, whatever they want to eat, they eat, you know what I mean? And it's not like 10% off a meal, like once every 3 days, you know what I mean? We don't play that game. You know, if you're hungry, you eat, if you're thirsty, you drink. And there's a couple of other things I think that make us a little special as restaurant spaces. You know, we are extremely queer friendly. I myself, queer human, believe that like the way that humans are, the way that gender evinces in the world is only going to get weirder, and that's exciting to me. I believe that that humans deserve to see other planets and other versions of themselves. You know what I mean? And I think I like a broadness and a strangeness. I feel like I want to hold that energy in both of our kitchen spaces. They're also safe spaces. So if somebody is you know, we do not tolerate racist language. We do not tolerate sexist language. We do not tolerate homophobic language, transphobic language. We mind pronouns. We show people the honor of seeing them where they are and how they're showing up, and blessing them with our appreciation and proper pronoun and name usage, right? So I think they're just kind of weird spaces that are definitely atypical for most kitchens. And it's graced me with so many cool humans over the years that have come through, just forward thinking, super smart, super creative, artists, musicians. You know, it's been a really cool litany of just rad human beings that have worked for the systems over the years. And not that many cooks, like so many ethical vegans, but not that many industry people. A few, a smattering of like people I've hired from other restaurants. It's really more ethical vegans wanting to get their hands in some vegan food.
I absolutely love that. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Everything you stand for is just great. Like, I think seriously, I don't know what else to say to that.
You're super sweet. I'll take the compliment. Thank you.
Well, I could say one thing I could add on to that. We just interviewed Lee Cooper a couple of weeks ago, and he spoke highly of you and everything, and then about the Veg Fest and everything. So yeah, you definitely come highly recommended.
And leave an impression, that's for sure.
Sure, that's super sweet. Yeah, Lee's amazing. I mean, they've always been avid supporters of Vegfest. I can't complain. I didn't really know him. I knew of them, and then they just like, you know, we used to throw these extremely extravagant farm to table, like crazy, slightly Wiccan dinners at this farm in Waxhaw. I mean, seriously, we would have like fire breathers, like entertain people. We'd like, we'd feed everybody. Yeah, it was super great. We would feed everybody like all these courses, and then we would like walk them into the woods and give them a weird herbal tea, and they would just watch women like breathe fire.
That feels like my kind of spot.
I know, dude, it was rad. I would love for those to come back. There was so much work and did not make any money, but they were super fun. But yeah, Lee just showed up. Lee and his partner showed up one year at our dinner, and I was like, oh, you know, like I feel like his entrance, the barbecue entrance into the scene was very intentional and very low ego. It was very like, oh, we are here to make things better. We are not here to take things over. We're here to add, you know. And I feel like that's the piece that I'm always looking for. It's like, what are you adding? What are you not? You know what I mean? There's no need to like compete. What's the new adding? You know, what's the new energy you're bringing? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
That's one thing I could say about the vegan or plant-based community. Everybody it's all like family. There's no one person who just you stay away from that person. This is my area. I rule this or anything. It's all about, oh, have you tried this? Yeah, you need to try that. It's just one big networking family who's super supportive of one another.
I feel like I for the most part, I will agree with that. I do think that in younger years, like in past iterations of the vegan scene in Charlotte, where things were a little smaller and really literally everybody knew everybody, I do think the energy was a little more chill and a little purer. I do think there are some factions, I'll say, in Charlotte's vegan community today. And I think that's just kind of a natural occurrence of it getting so much bigger, so much quicker.
Yeah.
It's so big. And like, I feel like I used to know everybody, and I don't anymore. And that's like really exciting. Like I used to feel like I knew every pop-up, every chef, anybody that was making plant-based, and it's so big now and things are changing so much and people are constantly coming and going. And like, it's this like really just a live thing, you know, that I don't anymore. So I feel you though, for the most part, I feel like people are open, sharing, non-competitive, non-capitalistic. I think there are some outliers that maybe aren't like that, but for the most part, it's a great vegan scene full of really rad humans, extremely diverse, age, you know, race. There's so many different humans that are part of it's just a variegation. It's a beautiful thing. It's really fun to remember that and take a minute at Vegfest to like look around and notice just so many ethnicities, so many age ranges, so many ways that people are expressing their gender. You know, it's like all these different things happen. And I think that's I can't really, you know, I'll give it to the wheelie community, the one wheel community, right? Like y'all look cool. but like we got you on diversity, you know what I mean? And like we got you on age diversity for sure. You know, I know like some rad 82-year-old vegans, you feel me? That would not be on one wheel. I don't think that would be the best idea. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I hope we can have you out of the festival, get to see you. It's super kid friendly, gonna do all kinds of, you know, face painting. I think we're gonna do some animal face painting. No bouncy house this year, but animal, you know, face painting for sure.
That's awesome. I love it. For all of our listeners who aren't sure where to find you, or this is their first time hearing about you, please share where they can get in contact with you or find more information out.
Sure. So Nourish, the meal delivery / catering company, it's nourishcharlotte.com, all one word, right? Nourish and Charlotte, the city name. Plant Joy is plantjoyclt.com. You can place an order online there. That all that money goes straight to the restaurant. That's the best way to get delivery from Plant Joy if you live in Charlotte, or just come visit us. We're open Wednesday to Sunday. We do a beautiful brunch set on Sunday. We're open 11 to 8, 11 to 9 every day. We have a great kids menu. If you want to feed the BBs vegan food, come visit us at Plant Joy. And if you are a new vegan chef or you have a vegan product and you'd like to, show it to a public, the biggest crowd that we've ever expected, we're expecting 5,000 people this year at Vegfest. Visit charlottevegfest.com, register. You know, if you have questions, reach out to us, charlottevegfest@gmail.com. We'd love to have you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for coming on and talking with us. We've had a great time getting to know you better.
Thank you so much for having me. You guys seem like sweethearts.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to the Strong AF podcast. We hope you really enjoyed this episode.
Just do us a favor, go on the Apple Podcast, leave us a 5-star review, let us know how you enjoyed the episode. And if you're watching this on YouTube, just drop us a couple comments. We love hearing from you guys.
Yeah, we always love hearing your feedback, and let us know what you'd like to hear more of as well.